Now listen up. 3, 2, 1. It's showtime. That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Max World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 11th day of October in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we are live once again in Mac's World on a Tuesday afternoon. Now, we did the political thing yesterday. I can't really do that often. I mean, I know we're coming. Monday night was the. No, I'm off on this, aren't I? Sunday night was the debate. Yeah, Sunday night was the debate. We talked about this yesterday with Tom Coates. Today's Tuesday.
Right.
So usually we talk politics on Tuesday, but we talked about it yesterday, and we're not going to talk about it today. Yay! I can hear all the radios going, yay! Trust me. Yeah, Frank and Tom, they're our political crackheads. I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I'm sorry. If I'm letting you down as a talk show host, we'll talk more about politics as we get closer to November 8th. May 9th, I've already got, or not May 9th. Why am I in May? November 9th, the day after the election day, I've already got Brian Myers and Shane Vanderhart and all these people lined up to come in and talk about, the disaster that day's going to be. By the way, I'm just going to tell you, and what I predict doesn't mean anything. I'm not a predictor. I don't have the gift of prophecy, as far as I know. But I'm just telling you, Hillary Clinton is going to win by a landslide. And that's just, 16 presidential elections under my belt. Probably 10 of them on the radio. 10 times 4 is 40. 10 of them on the radio, 44. This would be 11 of them on the radio. Always been a geek, always been a political guy. I hate to admit it. You're going to judge me when I say this. Don't judge me, but I was a Nixon fan. Yes, even after he said, I'm not a crook. And they found out he kind of was a crook. I don't care.
Nixon was one of our best presidents.
I agree. He just got his hands caught in the cookie jar, and he didn't do anything that anybody else did do. If we impeached Nixon for what he did, how are we even letting Hillary Clinton, right? Or Donald Trump? I'll go both sides for you. How is anybody? I mean, who was it yesterday? Debbie from Perry. Wasn't it Debbie?
Yeah, Debbie, yes.
Debbie from Perry yesterday. Smartest listener I've heard in a long time. Gutsy. You didn't hear this, Terry, but basically she said, why are we even thinking about either one of these people? Well, because we have to vote, and if we don't vote, then it's a vote for somebody else. Yeah, but what about what did she, her and Chris both talked about integrity? No. What was it? Conscience. Oh, fine. See, I didn't have one of those for 50 years. So this whole idea that I think about what other people think and care about what other people care and it impacts me. Okay, the truth is I'm not sure I am still that way. But, excuse me, Jesus has given me a conscience. I am aware now when I hurt people and hurt things and say hurtful things most of the time. I needed to add that most of the time. I think that would make it a proper, truthful statement. But Debbie's a rock star in my book. She's saying what my heart's saying, but my head can't get there. Or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, my head, my heart. Either one of these people are going to be disastrous. Disastrous for my grandchildren. Disastrous for my great-grandchildren. Not so good on my 35 to 45-year-old kids. Anyway, do I hope Trump wins? Yes. He is so far down the trail in being a not such hot guy, not a presidential candidate, not a president, But he's not as low as Hillary Clinton. Do you agree? Can I get an amen?
That's what people like about him.
Trump?
Yeah.
That he's not as bad as Hillary?
No. People like the fact that he's not a polished politician who's been preparing for this all his life like some other people.
Let's go to the phones where Chris from Urbandale is hanging in. Chris, you are live in Max World on 99.3. The Truth. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm listening to you. Soften my heart. Change my mind.
So, as much as I don't like so much of what Trump has said and so much about his character and his personality, in the end, this election, I understand everything Debbie said yesterday. What this election comes down to is who's going to put someone on that Supreme Court justice that will follow the Constitution, that will protect our religious freedoms and our ability to practice our Christianity. Historically, King David in the Bible was one of the greatest kings ever, and he was a womanizer.
Oh, and a murderer.
Yes, he did things for his own benefit.
Yep. I resemble that remark.
He was all about himself, and yet God used him to do incredible things. So as much as I understand how women all over look at it and say, how could you vote for this man that treats women so poorly? Because I can look and say, because God can use him anyway, and in the end, we need that Supreme Court justice to protect our religious freedom.
But, Chris, I absolutely agree with you, but do you see any hypocrisy in the fact that during the 90s, Bill Clinton was a serial groper, harasser, and potential rapist of women, and Hillary covered for that, disparaging the women, calling them all manner of names for political gain? So what platform does Hillary have to stand on, and what soapbox does she have to stand on to point her finger down at Donald Trump?
And she doesn't. She has not. That's the whole thing. We can look at Trump and say, shame on you, Trump. You should have never said these things. You should have never done these things. But my gosh, look at her history and say, really? So you're going to vote for her instead because Trump's a yucky guy because you don't like what he said or what he's done? She's done so much worse. She's done so many more criminal things. He has not been a polished politician his whole life leading up to this point. He's just been a guy that's made a bunch of really dumb mistakes. But in the end, look who he's trying to surround himself with now. And if you say, I can't vote for Trump, I can't vote for Hillary, I'm just not going to vote, as a Christian, I mean, as an American, but as a Christian, you have to. Everything we believe in, what the Bible holds true, is under attack. And if we don't vote, if we don't stand up and say, okay, maybe neither one were my favorite pick, but this is what we've got. We have got to choose one. And I understand I don't like what Trump said and what he did 10, 11 years ago. So what? We have to move beyond that and be mature enough to realize we may not get our way in this election, but you have to pick from what's there. This is our choices. I also look at Saul and what a horrible, horrible person he was.
You're talking about Saul the Paul or Saul the King?
Saul the Paul.
Okay.
So he's horrible, persecuting Christians, and he's this horrible guy, and he does, and then he, as in Mac's words, he gets mugged by Jesus.
Yep.
And lo and behold, he becomes this incredible spread of the word. And I look at Trump and I say, maybe he can be that guy that God can say, here, look what I can do. Maybe Trump will mess everything up, but we know Hillary will mess everything up. We at least got to give Trump a chance because we know what we've got with Hillary, and it's more Obama, and we can't survive that. We have to stand up, and each time I listen to the show and I hear people say, how in the world can you vote for him when he does this and this and this? My answer is because look at what our alternative is.
Yeah.
At some point we have to, even all the Republican leaders that say, never Trump, I'm not voting for him, he's okay, then look at what you're actually saying. They can stand on their high horse all they want. They can stand on their pedestal and say, we're too good to vote for him for whatever reason. But in the end, then look what you're actually asking for.
Yeah, Chris, you know what let me, here, hold on. Everybody talk amongst yourself. I just want to say something to Chris for a minute. So just, yeah. So Chris, just you and me, okay?
Sure.
I think there's a lot of posers out there. And what I mean by poser, they're the hashtag Never Trump people because they can't be associated with what Trump is. But behind the curtain, with the hanging Chad and the lever to pull or the box to fill or the button to push, they're going to vote for Trump.
I hope.
And my hope is that what we've done, I said earlier, I think it's Hillary by a landslide. I'm not going to change that unless I hear something different. I don't listen to polls. I listen to heartbeats. And I don't believe the independents have really had their hearts won over by Donald Trump. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's a lot of, am I going to say this? Am I going to say this out loud? I'm sorry, you're a woman, Chris. Don't be offended by this. But I think it's a lot of women who just can't say out loud in front of another woman, I'm going to vote for Trump. Because now all of a sudden you're like you're I don't know, you're like a pro-life person who now said, let's have a choice. Mm-hmm. But inside that booth with the curtain closed and the button and the leather and the box to be filled and the hanging Chad to be cut, I think they're going to vote for Trump. Okay, guys, come on back in. Terry's here. Fritz is here.
And I hope you're right. I think the thing that worries me is all these, like, I respect Debbie and what she was saying yesterday. I think the thing that worries me is Debbie, every time someone like Debbie talks about you can't vote for Trump, I think you're missing out on, okay, then what are you actually saying then? What are you actually asking for in this country? And there's bigger issues.
Let me give you a little secret, to Chris, about somebody I talked to today. They want to, they're going to let Hillary get in, but their hands are going to be clean because they didn't have anything to do with it. It's all the Trump people's fault.
All right, we're going to take a break. Chris, thanks for calling. You're always welcome in Mac's World. 515-244-0077. When we come back, you know what we're going to be talking about? Jesus! Yeah! No more politics! Thank you, Jesus! Coming back live on The Truth. Yep, it's the truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burke, your coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3:21 in the afternoon. J. Michael McCoy live here in Max World Live on 99.3. I have Terry Baxter and Fritz Butler, and Fritz Baxter. Or I don't have it written down. All right, and we're here to talk about Jerusalem because now you've been to Jerusalem.
I have. And I have not.
So you have not. So this would be a good time for you to go.
Okay.
You could go with me.
Okay. Could I be your butler?
My butler? No, he's my butler. Terry Butler. No, Bob's going, and Bob's going to head out the swim program. Did you know that yet, Bob?
No, I did not know that.
Okay, well, the best way to make that announcement is live on the air. You're going to head up the swim program.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Sure.
All right. And then Craig Ellingson's going, and Craig's going to help you. And then Dick and Betty Odegaard are going, and they're there to just keep me out of trouble. Because Betty's one of those people that when I try to go on the other side of the red ropes, I can hear it right now. If you know Betty, you can hear her say, "No, Mac." Right? You can hear Betty, "No, Mac," and I'm going to pay attention to her because she's like my big sister, and I'm not going to get any guff out of my big sister, so I'm not going to do that. But Fritz, you could go, and I don't know what you could do. You could buy bodyguard. Are you willing to take a bullet for me?
I'll shoot a bullet.
Okay. I don't think we can carry guns over there.
Oh,
I think that would be wrong. All right, so I want to go to the phones where Zane is standing by. I don't know what Zane wants to talk about, but I'm going to give Zane an opportunity to come on. Zane, all right. If you're going to, I know you called, and it was the last hour, the last section, and I said no more politics, but if you need to talk about politics for like 58 seconds, I'll let you.
All right. Well, I didn't want to necessarily give an opinion on which candidate's better. Obviously, I would agree with you saying that I would vote for Trump before I would Hillary. But you know what? I'm a younger guy, 27 years old, and the last 4 years watching this election kind of unfold has made me think pretty hard and heavy about what does it mean to be an American, looking at our history, looking at where we are now, where we're headed. And I just wanted to give some encouragement, I guess, to anybody who's listening. I'm probably not saying anything that a lot of people haven't thought about, but in case they haven't or they just needed some encouragement, there's no looking over history, our history as well as other countries' histories, there's no country that lasts forever. No government that lasts forever. And if I've been listening, I love listening to this station, listening to a lot of different preachers that are obviously talking about the political situation right now and talking about how God raises up leaders and he takes leaders down. He's the one that's in charge of it. And a lot of times, persecution of the Christians in whatever country will actually strengthen the church. And I know right now in our country we have a lot of very casual Christians who may or may not actually be believers, and if they are, there's a lot of believers that are not growing beyond the infant stage.
Zane, let me tell you the question I've been asking other people, and I want to ask you this too and get your opinion, because I'm beginning to recognize the difference between believers and followers. I think what I hear you saying is that there's a lot of believers. You believe in Jesus? I'll believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
You go to church? Yeah, most of the time. I mean, and golf in the summer and Then there's that football thing, and NASCAR. But I'm a member of Bob's Baptist Church. In good standing, by the way. I've been there 12 years. Okay, but do you follow? Because, see, I don't know if I was a believer or not. I was a believer in God. So if you asked me the question 8 years ago, Mac, are you a believer in what? Well, I don't know. Higher power? Yes. You believe in God? Yes. Were you created by him? Yes. How about the kid Jesus? I don't know. Why do you need the Son if you got the Father? I don't get it. Sounds like maybe more than one God to me. Get before God in heaven. I say, God, how'd I do? And he said, you blew the first one. Well, I got no other gods but you. Well, who's Jesus? You sent me Jesus, I'd say to him. And he'd say, no, I didn't. That's how Mac's brain thought. So, Zane, I like what you're saying. As we would say back on the farm, I like the cut of your jib. I think there's a difference between a believer and a follower.
Definitely. And
I don't know how... Fritz, you know more about the Bible than... Well, I don't know if you know more about Frank.
Let me just say this. One of the central parts, Zane, of the ministry that my wife and I have developed is called followership. Really is what Mac is getting at. And when you look at James chapter 2, I believe it is, it talks about even the demons believe and shudder. And we have to acknowledge that when you move into the realm of being a believer, you've just now come up on the same par, the same level as even the demons believe. It says in James chapter 2, verse 19, you believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. And so the context of this is, do you believe? So, okay, that's good, but show me your faith by your works. And so let's put your faith into action. And I think that's what I'm so hopeful for the generation of yours, Zane, is that you want to see action. You want to see the connection between what someone says and what they do. And I think that's what we're hungry for. And I think what's happening in this election cycle, I think as a follower of Christ, we have to see that there is a change happening, and we're not going to redeem this election. This election, in my estimation, has been lost. We've lost it. And I think we lost it because as a representative government, also the people who run for office in this country also represent the state of the union, the state, the spiritual state, the physical state, the emotional state of our country. And when I look at the two main for this office, I think we have to say that something shifted. And we, as followers of Christ, need to take responsibility because Jesus made us his ambassadors. And I think we have to take responsibility for doing a pretty terrible job. And now we're complaining about, oh, you need to vote for this guy so this person doesn't get in. I think it's just so lame. I don't know what you think about that, Zane, but I'd love to hear your opinion from a 27-year-old young man.
Yeah. Well, I've for a long time I was kind of stuck in this rut of looking back at my grandparents' generation and even my parents' generation. I grew up loving watching old, movies dated back in the 80s and the 70s, and so I had like this mindset that, man, if we could just get the country back,
I hear you,
20, 30, 50 years ago, that would be great. But you know what? That just killed me, living with that mindset, because you can't do that. There's no way to do that. And I'm probably not a very popular thing to say, but you know what? When I look at our country and I look at all the trends, we're definitely headed down. We're headed for our own destruction. And that's normal. That's a normal thing for a nation, for a government.
Yeah.
They have a rise, they have a fall. And so rather than fighting myself about that and wishing that it could be different, God.
Well, I think your heart's in the right place, Zane, because, you know, when I look just a few verses later in James chapter 4, talks about a warning against worldliness. And I see in your heart, Zane, that you don't want this. But when we read it right out of the Bible, it perfectly describes where we are. It says in 2 of chapter 4 of James, you desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. On my Facebook page, people are fighting and quarreling. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. You adulterous people, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity or being enemies of God? And therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. And, you know, that's a hard saying. And that's, when we read those words, we have to be very careful how we represent those words, because those words are not directed towards everyone. That's directed towards followers of Christ.
Frank, you got a comment?
Yeah. And what upsets me a little bit is, I voted for George W. Bush twice, voted for his dad twice, I voted for Ronald Reagan twice, and all of those men who proclaimed to be conservatives gave me things I didn't like that I didn't think was very conservative. In fact, George Bush appointed John Roberts as somebody that kind of helped give us gay marriage, kind of helped give us Obamacare. Now, I thought George W. Bush was a pretty good Christian man. But we know the litmus tests that the Democrats are going to Hillary laid them out the other night. She said, you're going to uphold gay marriage, you're going to uphold abortion, you're going to not overturn Citizens United, and you're going to endorse global warming. Those are the 4 litmus tests that she's going to force any Supreme Court nominee she puts on the court to adhere to. I'm wondering where the Republican litmus tests are. Why is the Republicans nominating somebody that's not a secure vote to abolish Roe v. Wade? In other words, what I'm telling you, Zane, is Donald Trump wouldn't exist if it weren't for the fact that Republicans that you and I have voted for in the past have broke their promises to you and I.
Well, yeah, and when I look at 1 Kings chapter 15, it says, talk about abide all things that his father did before him, and his heart was not wholly true to the Lord his God. You know, what I hope we do, Frank, is that we repent as followers of Christ from putting a trust and a hope in leaders and political leaders. Because I still remember the feeling that I had in my heart when Bill Clinton was actually elected. I can taste it.
It was a pit in the bottom of your stomach.
And I just thought, no. So I think what we have to look at is that we in this country have reached a tipping point. And this tipping point is only going to be solved by the Holy Spirit. So we look at prayer, we look at fasting, we look at all those things. Those are all things where we're asking God to work. We need to really look back and see a lot of the things that we've done just have not. I got back from the being halfway around the world in a country that what we were doing there was illegal, but we believed in it enough to go do it. And those are the things that we need to recapture in our imagination, that things can happen right here in Polk County. You don't have to go halfway around the world, but we right here in Polk County have been blessed with so many things. And if we get the vision for recapturing our hearts for the things that are eternal, because I'm with you, Frank. I felt, as a conservative follower of Christ, I felt betrayed. There was a lot of things that happened that I felt betrayed by.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to devote my life to things that are going to pass away.
Amen.
All right, we're coming up on a break here, and Zane, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I hope you had an earful. Frank just stole 20 more minutes of my life with politics. But when we come back, we're not going to talk politics. Promise? We're going to talk Jesus. Coming back live here on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Officer.
I'm the service manager,
marketing director, and client relations manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heat cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
We've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick? They got too cold. When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a lot. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then we'll continue today with our conversation on Jesus. Actually, it's on Jerusalem. And I've got a trip coming up to Jerusalem over Holy Week. I always thought Holy Week was only Easter, but that's all Christmas?
It's my understanding.
Sure, it's a Holy Week.
Like Holy Week.
Holy
Rich,
Week is typically right before Easter, Mac.
So we can't really call the week before.
No, you're talking Advent. So
Advent.
Advent leads up to Christmas. You got to remember, Advent is not about Christmas.
Right.
It's about the second coming of Christ, not the first coming, the second coming.
Okay, so what would we call the 18th through the 24th? The week before Christmas?
Yeah, that's all that is.
It was the night before Christmas. Went all through the house. Not a creature. 40 days.
Yeah.
And then, because we used to have those little Advent calendars, and you'd open the little windows, and
yeah. Doesn't Advent leads up to Christmas though, right?
Correct.
We celebrate Advent. So would that be Advent time that week before Christmas too?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Christmas is simply on the day, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I never knew this until a couple of years ago, but the 12 days of Christmas are actually after Christmas.
Right.
Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like the 12 days before, but it's the 12 days after. Have to figure that out.
And there's a whole nother cool party you can have after the 12 days of Christmas called Epiphany. You can celebrate Epiphany, which is a really cool thing that very few people celebrate. And that is remembering when the Gentile kings, we three kings, Abori and Dark,
Magi.
Yep, the Magi named Jesus. That's when we celebrate that event. The church has historically, because that's when the gospel began. It was a symbol of the gospel beginning to go to the Gentiles worldwide. It happens after Christmas.
I thought Epiphany was that thing I played in the orchestra. The big.
It reminds me of the song we used to sing, "We Three Kings of Oil and Tar Dare to Smoke a Rubber Cigar. It was loaded and exploded. That's what I used to sing when I was a kid.
Nice.
At Zion Lutheran Church in Iowa City.
As a preacher's kid, you did that.
That's right.
Isn't that like the highest? Your dad must have hated that.
Oh, we were terrors. We were absolute terrors.
You were rebels.
Oh, yes.
Rebels.
Yes.
Rebels.
We did
Rebels.
that very well. But
Okay.
you know, like a prodigal son comes back, God remade me and made me clean. He gave me a heart for things that I never even knew existed. And that's the change that happened in my life. And that's why we went to India with swim as we're turning the corner back to what really motivates us. I think people get interested in things, but we only have to get a few degrees off of north to get really off course. And that's what the world tends to do. The world tends to say, hey, if you get this person in office, everything's going to be great. And that's the thing that I think we as followers of Christ need to really repent from. Yes, it's important and it's important goes in there, but I've heard a lot of people say the sky is falling if this person doesn't get elected, and it's just not true. So what I think about is if we were to recalibrate ourselves to where we could say, you know what, if we could help people with clean water, if we could help pastors with discipleship. I was on the phone to Pakistan. I'm working with a pastor in Pakistan, actually, is how they pronounce it. Pakistan. And this pastor gave me a great quote that I can't wait to share. He is teaching followership as a discipleship ministry in a big city in Pakistan. And we're going to, Lord willing, we're going to travel there. We're going to go to Pakistan. Very dangerous place, but a place that is ripe for the gospel. And he said this. He said, what I preached at my church last week, he said, shepherds don't give birth to sheep. Sheep give birth to sheep. And he said this to make a point. And his point is that as a pastor, you're a shepherd. That's what it means in Greek. But pastors don't necessarily disciple. They can't disciple all the people in their church. So the only thing they can do is cast a vision that their own sheep be able to disciple other sheep. And it just put a smile on my face.
Well, and that's what you do. That's your ministry. You and Laura are about making disciples.
That's
followers.
right. And it's so encouraging that someone miles away can actually get this vision and be encouraged by a simple idea. We all have the same struggles. We all need to keep the same focus. And the Great Commission is connected to the Great Commandment, to love God and love neighbor. And, as I've gotten more connected with the guys that swim here, Terry, what I love about the guys that swim is that they're engineers. And really bright.
I mean, they're really engineers.
They are real. They're real
not
engineers.
Not choo-choo train engineers. They're like build stuff engineers.
So when we're talking about salt water, it's sodium chloride. And what's that happens when there's electrolysis and the sodium splits from the chloride, Terry?
You make sodium hypochlorite.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Which is called chlorine.
Right. It's just it's what's in your bleach that you buy off the shelf, but it's
Without
at
the
a
bad
lower
stuff.
concentration, and it doesn't have all the caustic soda, the bad
Yeah, but what's
stuff in it.
happening with the chemistry that you say when it goes through electrolysis? What's actually happening to split the chlorine?
All the atoms have positive or negative charges,
right?
And so it's causing the chlorine or the chloride to become a free atom. So
Right.
it's hanging out in the water looking for something to attach to, and organics, pathogens. That's what it goes after.
Isn't that cool? These guys understand this. And as a fellow scientist, Bob, you must like guys like this, right?
Oh yes, I love other scientists. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then when it's connected to the gospel, that's even better, isn't it?
Well, God put it all together so that we can, learn and be amazed at His handiwork.
And that's really the main point of what we're doing is we're combining discipleship and mission. Or when you look at the spiritual faith side, we're saying we want to combine that with real action, measurable action that we're using to help someone's physical life. And then we're also helping with the spiritual side of things. And that's that potent combination that I think, we had a caller, Shane, who's 20, Zane.
Zane. Z-A-N-E.
27 years old. And here's this guy who's got a heart for something different. And he's like, man, I'm just not sure what to do with this, but I know just bigger isn't cutting it. And that's what I think a lot of people are ready for, not just talk, but they're ready for action. And they want to see real things happen. Wouldn't you agree, Bob?
Yeah, I agree. You have to you think about, for instance, the disasters that are taking place even here in this country. You know, what's the first thing people need after a disaster? They need somebody to go in there and help them to recover. So it's not a matter of preaching. You have to do things in the natural and the physical that'll make a difference, so that then you can share the gospel with them. But you got to take care of basic needs first.
And I think that people have a distrust of large organizations because of what's happened. And I think that's the same thing that's bled into politics. But even there's a large organization that I won't name because I don't want to put someone down. But people in Haiti right now are saying, hey, be careful who you give to. Because there are large organizations that you would think of giving to. And there's a big one that pledged to build a whole bunch of homes, hundreds and hundreds, and they built a handful. So they're saying, hey, be careful. And what I like about Swim is I've personally seen their operation. And they really, the dollars you give directly to the people who need it the most.
515-244-0077. That's the number. It's your voice we want to hear. You can also text at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0983. Remember, first call bail bonds.
993.
Pardon me?
993. You had 0983.
Okay, what's the whole number, Frank?
809-0993.
All right, and remember that first call bail bonds reminds you not to text and drive, and don't forget it. All right, when we come back, I want to ask you a question. Where would you like to go on a mission trip? And I don't want your answer wherever God sends me. I get that. You're probably not going on a mission trip unless God has come beside you and said, you know, I think you ought to go to Nicaragua. I think you ought to go to Jerusalem. I think you ought to go to Pakistan. But where would you like to go? Maybe by you just speaking it out loud, God will give a place in your heart for that mission and that trip. Where would you like to go? 515-244-0077. Talking about our Jerusalem trip coming up. Live with Swim, Fritz, and more. Live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coach with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody's hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Fluoride.
Okay, 10 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:50 live on the radio on the 11th day of the 10th month of October in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Max World Live on 99.3. Remember, don't text and drive. And you know what? I am guilty of sin. I guess sin is guilty. So I'm guiltier than... Well, I just do it a lot. Because I think I can do it, right? I think I got that one eye, the right eye, kind of winking down there and looking at my hand. And then the left eye, it's up over the steering wheel. And so... Oh, no, I can't look at two things at once. So what am I... I'm thinking that that it's more important to look at my phone and text than it is to keep everybody safe around me, because that's kind of my gig, right? I mean, keeping me safe, that's enough. But keeping everybody else safe, that's kind of the thing, right? The lady in front of me with the two kids in the car seats in the back, they're like 2 and 3, and I'm texting, and somehow I think my text to order a pizza from Carrie at Northern Lights Pizza is more important than the light. You get what I'm saying? And I'm guilty. I'm guilty. So I'm preaching to the choir, brother. Sisters, give me an amen. No more texting and driving. We gotta stop it. And I'm the number one dude that says that. All right, Terry Butler is here along with Fritz Trost, and we're talking about the trip to Jerusalem. Now, Terry, you've been to Jerusalem. How many times?
Once.
Once. And how long?
We were there days.
Were you on one of those tours where you had to stay in front of the red ropes?
We were.
And how'd you do? Of course, you don't have a problem with that like I do.
No, not so much. The bus driver that we had for our group was Arab. And
was he like also the tour guide?
No, the other guy was, but they were both Arab. Neither one were Christians. They were Muslims. And so with that, they had a lot of connections behind the red rope, so to speak. And so as a tour, we had an opportunity to go a lot of places that not a lot of people go.
Like name one. Name a couple. I want to make a list.
Well,
where should I go? If you've been to Jerusalem, tell me where I should be going. Because I've got no tours.
Yeah.
I'm just on my own. Me and Robert.
Jericho is a pretty neat place to go.
Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
The wall's still there? Because I heard they came tumbling down. It's a joke. I'm sorry.
I know. I get it.
Fritz got it. Yeah.
And then if the place where you'll probably get a chance to go is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found.
Okay.
The Dead Sea. You got to try to float in the Dead Sea.
Why? You can't?
No, you can't sink. You float.
You can't sink?
No, you float.
You don't realize you're talking to me.
I know.
Mac can't sink. Okay, so I have lost a little weight. So Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, what if I find another Dead Sea Scroll in there?
That's not going to happen, Max.
What? Fritz?
Leave it there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Don't pick it up. You'll get in big trouble.
It could be 3 Corinthians. Okay. Where else? How about the place where David kicked Goliath's butt? The Valley of something or another? I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Where else?
Lake Tiberias, otherwise known as the Sea of Galilee.
Oh, okay.
But Tiberias is the fishing village there that Jewish people would not go in because there's graveyards there.
Tiberias?
I think so.
Or the water?
No, the city.
And Jewish people won't... now, hold on. I don't get this. Jewish people don't like to go where there's...
At that time, I'm not exactly sure what the...
Okay.
But...
You're talking like 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Oh. Maybe where Gentile graves were.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
No? You think it's just good old dead people?
Dead people.
All right. So, I could make a crack, but I won't. Excuse me. I just had a thought. Oh, did you get baptized in the Jordan River?
I did not. But I saw people getting baptized there.
In the Jordan River? Mm-hmm. Is it supposed to be where Jesus and John the Baptist was, or is that not known anymore?
You'll hear the term traditional site.
Okay.
So this is what the traditional site is. So, for example, there's 2 places.
Hold on just a second. I just need... Fritz, move to your left. You're in my camera, dude. You're big enough to block the whole camera.
So people really want to look at you?
Okay, go ahead and move back, Fritz. You're right. This is radio. Go ahead.
So there's two places where Jesus was buried.
Buried?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you have the Garden Tomb, and then you have another tomb, which is actually on the inside of the city, and there's a church over it. So there's traditional sites. Sometimes you'll find that there's traditional sites. The Garden Tomb is a pretty neat place.
And we know that's where Jesus' body was put.
Well, we don't know if it was one of those two places.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Catholic Church.
So the whole thing with Joseph of Arimathea may not be true?
No, it's true, Mac. There's a dispute about the actual location because we don't have GPS in the scriptures. So once you go
Give me
over
my Bible,
there,
I'll find it.
Once you go over there, you'll understand.
Okay.
You'll understand very, very well. And see that this has been hotly contested. So at places of the Annunciation, other places, many different Christian groups actually have control over it. There's a lot of history about it. If there's a ladder standing up, they can't touch it. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on over there about control because, this is the hot spot of the world. This is the hot spot geographically. This is, for some reason, God will reveal it for some way. But this is a place close to his heart.
Would you agree that because of the tourism aspect, that it's a little bit like Christmas? It's convenient to give that date to Christ as his birthday, and sometimes in the convenience of wanting the tourism dollar, they're willing to go out on a limb and name something that was a spot that Christ done something that maybe wasn't really the case.
Well, of course, but what you'll find is that you'll find after you go there yourself. I haven't been there, but I know people have gone there a lot, and I read their stories, and I'm planning on going there because I think it would be really good to walk those streets and to be in those places and to really consider it yourself because it's geographically true. It's just we don't know exactly. There's been so much history, so much destruction and rebuilding, and really at some point. Does it really matter that was the exact spot? Does it matter that we have the exact relic? Like if we had a relic that we knew some way that this was actually the cross, really, is that the point? God wants us to know that it really happened, but he doesn't want us to get caught up in something physical and tangible as much as he wants us to walk into the spiritual truth and implication of it.
So you're saying the spots aren't actually holy. It's just the idea that a holy person walked there.
Well, sure. In the tradition of the Bible, there are places that God blessed in special ways as well. But, we have to take that with a grain of salt.
All right, we'll talk more about Jerusalem. If you've been there, I'd like to get some input from you. As you know, this radio program is going there this coming week before Christmas. And we'll be broadcasting live. And on Christmas Eve Day, we'll be live from a Christian church in Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. How cool is that, huh? And you thought Midnight Mass was cool. It's coming up. We're live, back in the back, in the front. We're back on the truth.